Hi everyone, welcome to On Earth Yoga. My name is Corey. This is a gentle hip opening class, so I'll take you through about 4 to 5 poses to help relieve any tension that you might have in your hips. Make sure you have a blanket with you of some kind. It does not have to be a yoga blanket, any blanket will do. Enjoy. Okay, so the first pose we're going to start in is just a simple bound angle pose. So we'll bring the soles of our feet together, knees come apart. You might have flashback memories of yourself in gym trying to do this. I do. And we're just going to start to rock our legs up and down. So just starting to lubricate the joints here, get a little bit of movement into what are probably some tight hips. I know for me, I have to sit a lot and walk a lot, and it puts a lot of tension in there. So this will just help start to warm us up a little bit. And it doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going, just go to your own pace. And just keep moving them up and down for about a minute or so. We're just going to get some movement in there. Good, and then we're going to stop moving our legs up and down and just keep them nice and still. Place your hands right around your feet and sit up nice and tall. Take a nice deep breath in. And then on your exhale, start to fold forward to your degree. Now you might just go right here. You might want to stay upright. Or if you have the flexibility there, you might start to fold all the way down. And again, there's no need to force here. So if you're pretty upright, that's fine. You're just trying to breathe here and just start to open up the hips. Taking nice full breaths. Still trying to keep all that length through your spine. And slowly on your next inhale, if you're lower down, start to lift yourself up. Being mindful of your head, and then just finding a little bit more of that movement, some butterfly movement. That's why they call this butterfly pose. And then from here, we're going to set up for a double pigeon or fire log pose, as some people like to call it. So this is where you're going to want your blanket. So again, it does not have to be a yoga blanket. It can be whatever blanket you have in your home. We're going to start with our left shin parallel towards the front edge of your mat. It doesn't have to be completely parallel. It's okay if it's a little off. Just trying to get it towards parallel. Your right shin is going to come and stack, hence fire log pose. It looks like 2 fire logs. And you want your foot to come all the way across so it's outside of your left knee. If you look down, you'll make a little triangle in between your legs. And then this space right between my foot and my right knee is where I'm going to put my blanket. And you can fold up your blanket a few times for some more padding. You want to feel nice and comfortable here. And then again, sit up nice and tall. Feel your sits bones rooted down into the mat. Lift up. And then maybe you find a fold. You might stay upright. If you fold, make sure your sits bones are still rooted down so you're not lifting up off your mat. And you can walk your hands out in front of you and let your head hang nice and heavy in between the arms. And try and relax into the pose here. I know some of you are probably laughing at me because you feel a lot of sensation, and that's okay. We're going to stay here for a little bit in a longer hold so that you actually start to loosen up and you might be able to relax a little bit more. And as you breathe, I want you to focus your breath on your right hip. So imagine that you're sending all of your breath to that right hip, and with each exhale, you're finding a little bit of a release. And so letting your breath start to deepen here. If you're upright, you might start to find a little bit of a fold as you've loosened into that right hip a little bit more. And just notice if you can sit with the sensation. Our mind often tells us to leave, but can you stay? Just a few more moments here. And then slowly, very slowly, if you're folded, start to walk yourself up. Blink open the eyes if they're closed, and then switch legs. So remove that blanket, extend both legs out, and just give them a little shake. And then we'll set up on the other side. So the right shin will come parallel with the top of the mat. The left shin is going to stack, bringing that foot, remember, all the way over so it's off of the knee. Make sure you have that little triangle in between your legs. And then our blanket will come to the other side. And each side is different. So if one feels super tight, if you need like 3 blankets, that's fine. It really just depends on the day. So again, setting up here, making sure you feel your sits bones nice and rooted down. Lift up, find a nice tall spine. And then maybe you fold or you stay. And for me, I'll tell you right now, this left hip does not feel very happy. So I definitely need to focus on letting my sits bones root down. They want to lift up. So focus on sitting them down. I might start to walk up a little bit to make sure I'm feeling that. And again, start to deepen your breath. You might start to sink deeper over the course of this hold. And again, just sitting here with the sensation that you're feeling in your hip. So we hold a lot in the hips. That's why they're different every single day. So try, as hard as it might be, to not hold any judgment. So if your hip is super tight, don't get annoyed. Just let it go. Just sit here and breathe. Stay in this pose as long as you can. And just know that any time here in this hip opener is good for you. With each exhale, can you sink a little deeper? can you find any more release in that left hip? Good, and then slowly, once again, start to walk yourself up. Open your eyes if they're closed. Remove that blanket, place it off to the side, and then let your legs extend out and give them a little shake. Now, setting up for this next one, this is called Gomukhasana, so cow face pose. I'm going to set you up in the half Gomukhasana. If you feel pretty warm in your hips, you can go into a full one, but no, that's not necessary at all. So keep that right leg nice and straight. Actually, we're gonna start the left leg nice and straight, and take your right leg, bring it over. You're not gonna step the foot down, you're going to actually bring it over so the pinky toe edge of your foot is on your mat, and you wanna focus on trying to stack your knees. So you should feel this all through the right hip. It can bring up a lot of sensation, so don't worry. If you need to be more here, that's fine, more like a figure four. But if you can, bringing both of your knees over to stack. And then again, it's really important, make sure you're sitting up nice and tall, your sits bones are rooted down. And the full pose, if you're curious, would look like this, where you're bringing that left leg back. But we're just going to stay with our left leg forward for now. So lift up nice and tall, big breath in. And then finding your degree of a fold. And try and relax your shoulders if you can. Relax any tension that you might have in your face. Just try and let all of that go. And send your focus to this entire right side of your hip. Make sure you're flexing both feet, especially the right foot. And you might start to fold deeper, maybe reaching for the left foot. But make sure you're feeling nice and rooted down into the mat. So tight hips is probably the number one thing I hear in my yoga classes, and it's the number one thing that people do not want to work on because it brings up a lot of sensation. And I know it's hard to sit with it, but just getting this far into the class, you should really give yourself a pat on the back because I know it's not easy. You won't hold this one for as long, just a couple more breaths. And slowly, if you're folded, start to lift yourself up. And then very carefully remove that leg, maybe assist it up, and then wiggle your legs out. Good. Last side here, then we'll make our way onto our backs. Again, bringing that leg over, remembering that each side is different. So bringing that pinky toe edge of your foot onto the mat, trying to stack your knees. It's not going to be perfect. And then finding that rooting down in your sits bones. Sit up nice and tall, big breath in. And then finding your fold. And as a reminder, the full pose is available if you'd like to take it. You want to reach your hands for that right foot. And sending that breath to that left hip. Couple more breaths, stay here. And then slowly start to walk yourself up. Extend your legs, give them another good shake. And then bend your knees and start to lower down onto your back. Bring your knees right up into your chest. And take a couple rocks side to side. And then one last pose here. Let your left foot come down to the mat and cross that right ankle on top of the left thigh. So setting up for a supine pigeon. So that's just pigeon on our back. And then you're going to reach between this little hole you've created. Find the back of your thigh or your shin. Some people like the shin. And then use that right outer arm to press the right thigh open. And you should feel this all through this area of your right hip. And then make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed down on the mat. Sometimes I see this. Don't do that. Relax everything down. If you find that the mat is too far away, grab your blanket and just place it right underneath you for a little bit of lift and comfort. You might find a gentle rock side to side, just massaging the tailbone while you open up your hip. Or you can stay still. Let your eyes close. Some people like to extend their leg up. You could play with that variation. But most importantly, just relax every other part of your body that's not currently doing anything active. And then carefully release your arms, extend them out into a T. And let that left foot come down onto the mat. Keep that right ankle crossed over. And just let your knees drop over to the right for a spinal twist. You'll use your right foot to kind of pull down on your left thigh. So pulling that left knee towards the front of your mat. Again, keeping everything else relaxed here. And slowly coming up through center, uncross the legs and switch sides. So left ankle crosses on top. Reach through, find your shin, or well, that's your thigh. Find your thigh or your shin. You can extend that leg up. So really play around here. Just make sure you're using that left outer arm to press the thigh open. And again, option to find that rock if you'd like. And don't feel tied to one variation once you're there. This practice is all about exploring to find what works in our body because we're all different. So don't be afraid to try something new. And if you don't like it, just go back to what you were doing before. A few more breaths. And then release your right foot down onto the mat. Keep that left ankle crossed, arms to a T, and then knees drop to the left, using that left foot to pull that right knee towards the front of the mat. And coming up through center. Uncross that leg, and then ending how we started, but this time just on our back, coming into Supta Baddha Konasana, bound angle. Soles of the feet together, knees splay out wide, and then you can take your hands, either rest them on your belly, or you can bring your arms up overhead and just feel nice and open. And so stay here in this gentle hip opener for as long as you'd like. If you need more support under your knees, you could grab a blanket or blocks. Thank you for practicing with me. The light in me honors and bows down to the light in each one of you. I hope your hips feel much better and a little bit more open than when you started. Namaste. Hey everyone, thank you so much for taking this class. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope your hips feel better. If you'd like to take another, please click a video over here and make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Namaste.